And welcome back to IGN Live at PAX Prime 2015. We're on the YouTube gaming stage. I'm Max Scoville. Joining me, Brian and Marty. I got that backwards. I let work with you guys, and I meant it's opposite in the camera. And Arnie from Naughty Dog. And you're here to talk about the Uncharted collection.
Yes, the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection.
I'm excited. What are we going to be seeing today?
So we're seeing a little snippet from Uncharted 2.
Okay.
It was a demo that we actually released back in E3. I think it was 2009, so it was a really, really long time ago. But it's one of the sort of iconic segments. It starts off where Nathan Drake is in a Jeep. He's talking to Chloe. They're talking about finding a temple in when they're up in Nepal. And he gets T-boned by the Jeep, and it starts off by a part where the Jeep is chasing him down an alleyway, and he's shooting behind him, and then it goes into a nice little traversal scene where you're fighting enemies, and it gets actually really hard. The demo's a lot harder than I remember it to be when I was demoing it way back when.
Yeah. How many times do you think you demoed it in 2009?
Probably more than I care to count. Although I did have a few guest stars to watch it. I know that at that time, a lot of gaming celebrities were coming by, and Miyamoto came by and checked it out for a little bit. And I died, which was awesome.
How terrifying is it to demo a game in front of Miyamoto?
It was pretty terrifying.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Sorry you got us has-beens today. Could have been a legendary game designer. So that's what you get for bringing us a demo from 2009. Come on.
This is all three of the games, obviously, and they're completely just polished, overhauled. How much, I'm unclear how much of this is, remastered, what did you guys do to kind of
when we worked with Bluepoint, which is a studio out of Austin, they've done some really great stuff. They did the Metal Gear Solid collection. They did the 360 the 360 and PS3 ports for Titanfall. Really, really good at what they do. They decided to take a top-to-bottom look at remastering it. So it's not only putting it 1080 and putting a high frame rate, putting up to 60. They decided to look at it and go, okay, what gameplay mechanics can we look at? And they're like, what game had the best gunplay? Sort of the great feel for it. Because if you go back to Uncharted 1, you could sort of tell, we're really sort of iterating on everything. And they took a little bit of a mix between Uncharted 2 and 3, and they unified it across all three games. So now when you go back to Uncharted 1, you basically got the Uncharted 2 aiming mechanics behind it. Wow. It's really smooth. It feels really great. They also took a look at a lot of the community feedback. We actually had a huge email thread that was going back for a while. It was like, all right, what was our own development studio feedback, and then what was the community feedback about the game? So we tried to address a lot of those things. One of the things was difficulty spikes and sort of the way the dynamic difficulty was in there. So they've tried to address that as well. So they've really tried to go beyond sort of just doing a remaster for graphics and really address a lot of things.
Sorry, you said the word beyond and the three of us got excited. But it really looks gorgeous. It seems like there's depth blurring and other words I don't understand.
This depth of field thing?
Yeah,
that's it.
There's some filter smoothing.
Motion range, gun fidelity, paint.
Now,
Do you want to write our bullet points?
I can take over the back of the box if you want.
Yeah.
All right, do it.
Now, so obviously people get mad when you go back and remaster a movie and add a bunch of stuff and tweak things. I mean, when you add eyelids on an Ewok or whatever. But in the case of Uncharted, it makes sense because you got it in, it looks crisper, and it's. Did you do stuff to the materials, I'm looking at the Tibetan peace flags back there. Is that new, or am I just remembering it poorly? I don't know.
Well, we tried to go back to everything that we did. So there's a lot of things that we had higher res assets to it and better fidelity assets, and we went back and made sure that we added those in where we could. We didn't really build anything from scratch, but there are things that, like our water tech, so you remember people knew about water from Uncharted Drake's Fortune, They thought that was a big deal.
Yeah.
So we actually went back, Bluepoint went back, and they worked on the water tech. So the water tech is completely new for these three games, just to bring it up to something that was worthy of the PS4 as well. And one of the great sort of trivia pieces is all of our cinematics always had higher res models and shaders on them. And we went back and they put in our cinematic models in the main game. So this is actually the Nathan Drake from the cinematics portion instead, because we're able to do that.
So you said that you guys tweaked the aiming mechanics in some of the earlier games. How do you sort of find that balance between wanting to go back and change a little bit, and then sort of, as Max was implying, George Lucas special edition the entire thing, where everything gets changed all over the place.
Well, a lot of it was looking at, okay, people are going to be playing all 3 games, probably in sequence.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that it wasn't a jarring leap between one of the others. So it was really trying to find that balance of, let's make sure that the experience remains consistent with all 3, and that was really what we're aiming for, is like, how do we maintain that consistency?
You guys are also adding new difficulty modes?
We did add a new difficulty mode, so we've actually added for our fans who really wanted to go beyond our hardest difficulty mode. We went beyond that. I like
Beyond.
beyond. I'm going to say it all day.
You're gonna keep saying it. It's like Pee-wee's Playhouse in here.
The word of the day!
That's the word of the day. There's actually a difficulty mode that's a lot harder than all the other ones. So you can go in and basically, it's adjusting the ammo and health for you as well. So it's a real hard challenge for you.
But then, isn't there also another mode where, for people who just sort of want to experience the story maybe again and not quite have the friction?
Baby
Right.
mode.
Well, we've always tried to find a way to make it accessible to everyone. We know that people have really liked the narratives for all the Naughty Dog games, and Uncharted especially. So we've always wanted to try to have something for everyone. And the idea was, well, if you really want to experience the story, and maybe you're not as well versed with third-player shooters or twin-stick mechanics, you're able to have something that makes it a little bit easier for you to go through it and really experience the story.
Yeah.
So how does that work then? Like, what have you taken away from that experience that have sort of streamlined for people? Are you still aiming and shooting a gun? Is the character kind of moving on its own and you're kind of interacting with it?
You still have to control everything, so
Okay.
you're still aiming and shooting a gun, but it's going to be things that are a little bit more behind the scenes. The aim assist is a lot more forgiving.
Got it.
Again, doing things like enemy health and sort of making the combat encounters a lot easier. Hints will be there, so there's a lot of things. I mean, hints were already in the game. If you're waffling too long in a certain area and didn't know where to go, there was going to be things that would help you through the traversal and puzzle solving areas. So all of that's in there.
The enemies also all have water guns. I read that rumor. I don't know if that's true.
No, unfortunately, we don't have water guns, but
Okay.
we are considering it for multiplayer for Uncharted 4.
Okay.
Put
Everyone-
in your request.
Yes, please.
Everyone just throws banana cream pies at each other. So, question: where's Golden Abyss?
Well, we were going through what the main storyline was.
Yeah.
And these stories all sort of work together really well to tee up Uncharted 4, basically.
Sure.
And that was what we were focusing on. Was really just trying to set together this main story arc.
Okay, you could have just said it lives forever on the PlayStation Vita, available
We
in
could.
stores now.
You guys have a ton of skins that you can play. Like, I know that Uncharted 3, like multiplayer, you can play as like Donut Drake and like other characters. You can play the main story as different characters. Is that right?
Yeah, you can do that. So that was something we had for Drake's Fortune, where you unlocked skins, and then you could go back and add them in. We had a bunch of unlockable things that way. So we've actually done that in the collection as well. So you'll have different skins that you can play through
In all 3 of the games?
in all 3 of the games. Yeah.
Is there a Nolan North skin?
That is Nolan North. It sounds like him, right? Why not?
Yeah.
Nolan North has a glass of scotch in his hand. So the Uncharted 4 multiplayer beta is going to be accessed through this?
Yeah, so you'll get exclusive access to the multiplayer beta if you buy the Nathan Drake collection.
Can you give us any window, time frame?
Before release of Uncharted?
Does the month end with an R?
Come out at 18 months after
A
the full
Tuesday?
Uncharted 4 ships.
We're trying to find that balance right now where it's early enough that we can actually address community feedback, because that's important for us. When we put out a beta, we're doing things like stress testing our servers to make sure it handles our day one player population. But we also want to make sure that it's an opportunity for all of our players to get an idea of what the game is like, and we'll read the forums and take their feedback in. So we want to make sure there's time to implement that before the game goes final. So it'll definitely be a little bit earlier than, right around the corner from release of Uncharted 4.
Are there going to be, obviously without going into spoilers, because you would literally never do that for Uncharted 4, are there going to be story elements in 4 that going back and replaying 1, 2, 3 are going to help, like, hey, you might need a refresher on this person or this event or this place?
Well, we've always built the games in such a way so that each game was standalone as far as its narrative, but they always referenced the games that came before it. So if you go to 4 and you've played 1, 2, and 3, you'll have a slightly deeper knowledge of some of the things, but it's not going to take away from Uncharted 4 if you've never played it. But I wouldn't be up here if I wouldn't say the best way to do it is to go back and play 1, 2, and 3, and then hop into 4.
What if you play them backwards? Is that weird?
Well, that
What's wrong with
could.
you?
What is wrong with you?
I'm just asking. I'm trying to see how far this remaster can go.
So that's the memento
Yeah.
difficulty.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Nate has all the weird tattoos all over his body.
Did you guys remaster any of the sounds or anything? Because we actually are big fans of one of the sounds in the game, and that is the vuvuzela noise that plays when Nathan Drake dies, and then Sully yells, "Nate, no!"
I remember that. Yeah, we actually, so the remaster also wasn't just graphics and gameplay mechanics, so the audio has also been touched upon so that, we went back and went to our original tracks.
Yeah.
And everything's at a higher bit rate. It's a 7.1 sound too.
Did you rehire any new vuvuzelas?
Who makes that noise? Like, who did you get to play that weird horn?
Well, we're walking around the studio and like this noise is emanating from one of our audio booths. We're like, what is
like a
that?
wall somewhere?
Yeah.
One thing, the multiplayer is not in here. Was that ever like on the table and then it had to be removed, or were you guys just like, hey, we need to focus on the multiplayer in 4, but then also remastering the campaigns?
We were looking at it, and there were a few things that were in consideration for it. We did consider, we had long conversations about including multiplayer in it, and part of it was which game did we do multiplayer, which game mechanics we did, is there a way to put in a lot of the interactive levels that we had multiplayer in there. And then we also looked at the player populations for Uncharted 2 and 3, because we haven't taken those servers down, and there's a pretty hefty population with that. And then we're also saying, okay, we're coming out with Uncharted 4 multiplayer, and it's like, well, we don't really want to split our multiplayer base. And the way that we've been approaching Uncharted 4, even with multiplayer, is that this is a culmination of all of our Uncharted experience. We're saying we're going back and we're going to do everything that we were never able to do, that we wanted to do, we couldn't get around to it. So we sort of felt, since we're putting all of that effort in Uncharted 4 multiplayer and we didn't want to split the user base, that was where our focus was going to end up going.
Can I ask you a real hard question?
Sure.
Am I ever going to be able to play Jack X on PS4?
Maybe if you put on one of those online petitions and get a bunch of signatures.
Those don't
Because
work.
those
I'm going to be honest, I don't think
time.
those never work.
Those never work.
I think there have been online petitions to get us, the 3 of us, fired, and that hasn't worked yet.
Oh yeah, it's been going on for a long time.
Well, why do you want Jack X?
I like Jack X.
Yeah, why
Because
not Jack
I have the Jack trilogy on PS3.
Okay. But not Jack 2? You don't want to be humbled from...
Well, I was like joke that like Naughty Dog says they do 3 games, they do a kart racer game, and I was like, Uncharted 4 is going to be like uncarted, and then we see this demo and it's like a crazy truck race, and I'm like, all right, that's fair, close enough, that's good.
We keep trying to get everyone in to do the mocap for Uncharted, but schedules just aren't aligning right now.
I will do that for you. We all will for free. That's great.
Awesome. Well, when does this come out?
It comes out October 9th.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you guys for sitting around and watching it. And for everyone watching at home, we've got more stuff coming up from PAX Prime, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Nate, no!